Hi everyone, welcome to another video of my Linux Plus journey, and in this video I'm going to talk about disk partition and what are different tools to do disk partition in Linux, and what are different file types in Linux which you can use according to your distribution. So we will start with the two types of partition which you can create on a Linux machine. First one is an MBR and second one is GPT. What MBR does, that MBR has, so MBR is very old a partition mechanism where you can create basically 4 different partition, and you will have a primary, and then you will have an extended, and you can also have a secondary. So there will be different kind of partition, and there can be total of 4 partition. This is very old, so back in the days 4 partition were enough, but now we have a disk of size of 1 TB, 1 petabyte, terabyte, right? 4 partitions are not enough. So what we did, that we moved to a new kind of partition system, which is GPT partition. GPT partition basically has flexibility to create 128 different partitions inside a disk. And MBR and GPT, these are two major ones, two major partition in Linux, and the difference between these are the number of partition which both of them can have. MBR can have 4, GPT can have 128. Now we have several tools to create these partitions. So first tool is fdisk. Fdisk is a tool which used to create an MBR partition. Whenever you type fdisk, and you will show -L, which represents list, and then you will show or you will type the disk name, which will be in your dev slash whatever your file system name. Maybe it will be SDA1 or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever your basically device name. So this is the fdisk command, and this is basically used to create an MBR. Then we have a gdisk command. Gdisk is used to create a GPT partition. Basically you will have to create a partition table inside your partition, and then you have to format that with any of the file systems. So that formatting will create a file system inside that. So the process of basically partition is, first you have to, if you have one disk of 128 GB suppose, and you want to create 2 partition, and one is about 50 GB and other one is about 78 GB. So you can do this with fdisk or gdisk command based on your required partition type, so MBR or GPT. And in this video I'm also going to show you, I've attached one external pen drive with my virtual machine, and let's check that out. So that pen drive is about 16 GB. So I'll just jump into the terminal, and first, before creating a partition, you need to just see that what are disks basically attached to your PC, right? So the command for that is lsblk, which will list all of the devices or partitions which already your disk might have. So we can see I have an SDA, which is my main hard disk drive, which is about 35 GB, because this is a virtual machine, so I have just given 35 GB, so no worries there. And in that we have I have 3 different partition. One is normal partition, one is another partition, and one is swap partition. So swap is basically whenever your RAM needs to be extended. Suppose your RAM is full and you still need to run some other program, so those will run onto your hard disk. So you will give that swap partition for that. And this 14 GB is my pen drive actually. There is one more which is SR0. So basically I'm going to mess up with SDB, which is my pen drive. So let's do that. So first of all, we can do this with the fdisk partition. So what we can do here, we can simply type fdisk, and then we can list that /device/ device means slash dev slash sdb, which will be your it will show, see, data traveler and all of the details related to this. So right now it is a GPT partition. As you can see, disk label type is GPT, and see, file system type is a Linux file system. So I'm just going to create an MBR. I'm just going to format all of that. I'm just going to create an MBR partition for this. So to create MBR partition, I'm going to use fdisk command again. So I will type fdisk, then dev slash sdb, which is my pen drive. So now that will open up, and I can type M for help. So it will give me all the commands which I can use. So first of all, I can delete my existing partition. So with D command, I can delete, see, partition 1 has been deleted. So, and to verify that, we can print the partition table. So if I print the partition table now, you can see there is no partition exists. So earlier there was one partition. Now there is basically no partition which exists. So partition 1 has been deleted. And what I can also do, that I can create a new partition which will be created by n to add a new partition. And now the partition number will be 1, and I can select the sector on my hard disk. Default, see here, it is 2048, because from 0 to 2048 that will be reserved for our master boot record. From 2048 we can select further on. So basically currently it is set to GPT, so it is showing as 34 to some 3 million or something. So but in MBR it will start from 2048. So I'm going to leave it as a default. And then if suppose from 14 GB I want to create a partition of 7 GB. So what I can do plus 7G, means 7 GB. You can also select KB, MB, GB, TB or PB, terabyte, petabyte. You can select anything from this. So I will just enter that, and see, it says that partition 1 contains a NTFS signature. It has created a new partition, but it contains an NTFS signature. Do you want to remove the signature? Yes, we want to do that. And the signature will be removed by a write command. So whenever I type a write command, that will be removed. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another partition. First partition is about 7 GB. Another partition I'm going to create with a new partition command. This will be second partition, and first sector, it's selected automatically, the first sector. So I will go leave it at default, and from first sector to next, last sector, whatever it is, 3 million something, whatever. So I'm going to leave it at default. Now second partition also created. Now this has been created, but still haven't been written onto the disk itself. So I'm going to type W, which will write all of that. So see, the partition table has been altered, calling IOCTL to reread the partition table and syncing disk. So now if I go again to this, and if I print the partition table, see, we have now two different partition. First is of 7 GB, second is of 7.4 GB. Both of them are a Linux file system type, and see /dev sdb1 and sdb2. And if I quit this and lsblk again, so see here, this partition will show up. So this is how you create your partitions. Now suppose I want to give this partition as an ext4. So if I go back here, we have different file systems in Linux. We have ext, we have xfs, we have brtfs. So ext has 3 versions, 2, 3 and 4. 4 is the latest one, and I'm going to use that for my example. And this ext basically comes by default in Debian based systems, and this xfs comes with Red Hat, or you can say Red Hat or CentOS. That is the again. This brtfs is kind of a new partition which is coming with some advanced features, but it has not been implemented yet by the Linux kernel. So maybe you will see in some distribution, but still this is not that relevant. We still use ext4 or XFS for Debian or Red Hat. And this BRTFS doesn't have support for Red Hat. Please remember that. Red Hat doesn't support this BRTFS. Red Hat only supports XFS. So that is the thing. And now what I'm going to do, that these are file systems, right? So I'm going to assign this SDB1 to the file system ext, and I'm going to assign SDB2 as a file system of the second one, XFS. For that, we have mkfs command. If you type manual, if you open manual page for mkfs, see, build a Linux file system. So this command builds a Linux file system. You can type mkfs, then T, then options, then device, and then size. So you can select that all. So I'm going to just quit this, and mkfs, then T, I have ext4, and I want to do /dev/sdb1, and I'm going to enter that. So see, it is creating a file system with this 4K blocks and these many inodes. Backup started on blocks, and it created a file system. And as it created a file system, see, in my desktop it came up 7.5 GB volume. Now I can use this. Now I can go here and paste some files and use this as my partition. But before doing that, you can mount this to your Linux system, and then you can use that. So for mounting this to your system, you can type mount command, and to unmount, you can type umount. So mount and umount. These are the commands for mounting and unmounting. Now for the second partition, right? mkt ext, here I'm going to create an XFS. So XFS partition. Now see, it says failed to execute mkfs.xfs. So the thing could be that XFS is not supported by this distribution. This is a Kali Linux distribution which is based on Debian, and in Debian the supported the supported file system for Debian is ext. XFS is supported by CentOS or Red Hat. So basically, to find this information, you can do one thing. You can type ls la, which will list all the files, and you can search in user/sbin/mk*. So if you do this, see, there is bfs, there is fatfs, there is dosfs, there is 2fs, there is ext2, 3, 4, but I don't see any. There is ntfs also, but I don't see any xfs here, right? There is no xfs. So that's why we can find out that XFS is not supported by this distribution. We can create some other file systems like xfat or maybe DOSFS. But so for now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create an ext4 for this also, SDB2. So for both of them, I'm going to create basically ext4, because XFS is not supported in this. And then see here, another drive also came, so that my single pen drive has been divided into two different volumes now, two different partitions. So operating system will see as two different partitions. Now lsblk, if I type, you can see that SDB1 and SDB2. So two different command, and you can also create two different file systems for both of different parties. They are completely separated from each other. So this is how you can partition your disk. And now if I remove this pen drive from here and I try to put this pen drive into a Windows system won't identify this, because Windows system only identified FAT32 or NTFS. And this is like ext4. So in Windows system this won't work. This will work only in Linux. So if you want to work on Windows also, you can create an NTFS partition, or you can format this with an NTFS. I've formatted with ext4, but you can format it with NTFS also. So and yeah, and if you want to make a swap partition, one thing I forgot, you can use mkswap. See here, this mkswap, you can use this to create a swap partition. Like this has been created by the operating system itself, but you can create a swap partition by this method also. So I think that's enough for this video. I hope that you liked this video and you enjoyed this. And please try this with your external hard disk or external pen drive which is already formatted or something like that, which does not contain any sensitive information, because whenever you alter this partition table, so you need to format the pen drive after that, or whatever your external device is. So be careful with that, and don't try this on your internal hard disk which already been installed with the system, which because it can halt your system if you do it in a wrong way. So play with any external SD card or whatever external drive which you already have. Yeah, so that's it for from my side. Thank you for watching. And if you like audio quality on this one, I changed my mic. So if you don't like it, please let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.